Now, I don't have my usual countdown tonight because the internet doesn't want me to be great, but I'm going to be great just the same. We're going to go straight into our show. So good night, everyone. Let me get this thing before. All right. See it? Ladies and gentlemen, the internet doesn't want me to be great, so guess what? Let me turn this thing off and start with my show. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of what? Leadership Unscripted. So tonight is going to be very uncomfortable. Uncomfortable for a lot of us. Might be me, but it's going to be uncomfortable. And I mean that intentionally. Because I'm going to ask you to consider something that most of us would rather not consider. There may be conversations happening about you that nobody feels safe enough to have with you. Let me go again. There may be conversations happening about you that nobody feels safe enough to have with you. Think about that. Maybe it's happening in your workplace. Maybe your employees discuss your leadership after you leave the room or before you enter the room. Maybe your colleagues knows something about you, about your behavior that is, that they've stopped trying to tell you. Oh Lord. Maybe it's happening in your business. Maybe people have learned, don't challenge him. Don't question him. Just agree with him. Maybe it's happening in your classroom. Maybe it's happening in your marriage, your friendship. Maybe it's happening with your children. And tonight's question is, what if you're the problem nobody feels safe enough to mention? See my thing here, like he doesn't want to make me great, but I'm going to be great tonight, you know. I'm going to be great tonight. Give me a minute, let me fix this thing here. 1 second. All right, it's coming around. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. All right, 1 second. When you're working with technology, you tend to have a mind of it. All right, it's coming around now. I don't know why it's not rotating, but anyway. All right, it's coming around now. Don't worry yourself. All right. So, now immediately some of us will think, not me. I'm not the problem. And that's precisely why we need this conversation. Because self-awareness is easy when we're examining everybody else. So tonight, the mirror turns around. It's on us. So let's start something simple. Very, very simple. Have you ever known something important about a leader, but decided not to tell them because you knew they wouldn't take it well? Type yes or no. Do you ever know something about someone, your leader, anybody, but you decided not to tell them because you know that leader will not take it well? Let me hear from you. Boy, the camera is giving me hell tonight, you see? All right. It's working. I'll shift over to it now because this conversation must go on. The devil is a liar. Have you ever known something about a leader, but you decided not to say anything because you know they wouldn't take it well? Let me say yes or no in the chat. Be honest. Yes or no. So don't name anybody. Just say yes or no. Have you ever heard something about a leader or know something about someone, but you refuse to let them know because you know they will not take it well? They're going to take it personally. Now here's the harder question. What makes people stop telling someone the truth? What do you think? Why do you think people sometimes just stop telling people the truth? Do you think it's fair? Leaving Marie, do you think it's because of their ego? So because they're full of ego, you just stop telling them things. You just leave them be. Kamisha said their reaction good. Sometimes they have a temper and they can't control their reactions. Their emotions control them. What about defensiveness? Kaf says bully. Yes, some of them, they're bully. Defensiveness. Some will want to take revenge. Yes. And some of them full of pride. They're full of so much pride that no matter if you tell them that you're failing, they're not gonna admit it. If they make a mistake, they're not gonna admit it. And Nikki says some persons are not mature enough to hear the truth. And some of them, they can't deal with the truth. And sometimes when you tell some of us the truth, we take it the wrong way. We take it personal and we react. No. Here's something leaders often misunderstood. We walk into a meeting, we present an idea. Is it fear in relation to their interpretation or fear of? It could be both. Could be both. Could be both. Sometimes you could be fearful of how they may interpret what you're saying, and sometimes to fear of what might happen. Who are you to tell me when I'm doing something wrong? I'm your boss. Who are you to tell me nothing? You're in problem. And as Nikki says, some persons behave like this as if you're out to get them. But here's something leaders often misunderstood. We walk into a meeting, we present an idea, nobody disagrees, and we leave thinking, excellent, everybody agrees. Maybe, but sometimes maybe not. Silence can mean agreement, but silence can also mean I've learned not to bother. And that's completely different. So sometimes people stop speaking because they've learned that speaking has consequences. So you may walk into a meeting and you present an idea and everybody agree. They're all silent and you walk away, yes. But that silence can mean people just stop talking because they've learned that speaking has consequences. Perhaps every time someone challenges you, you explain why they're wrong. Maybe you ask for feedback, then defend yourself against every piece of feedback. Maybe you say, my door is always open, but your reaction has taught people the door may be open, but the conversation isn't safe to have. And that's powerful. Because psychological safety isn't created by what leaders announce. It's created by what leaders repeatedly demonstrate. So you can tell everybody in the organization, oh, I have an open door policy. But if nobody feels safe enough to come in there and talk to you, your door could be wide open, you're in there, you're on it by yourself. People must feel psychologically safe. They should feel that when they speak to you, it will not come back to harm them. When they tell you the truth, when they criticize an initiative, it will not come back to harm them. So if your employees, if your friends, if they don't feel psychologically safe around you, trust me, they're going to be very, very quiet. So here's this. You don't know how approachable you are by how comfortable you feel. You know by how comfortable other people feel approaching you. You hear that? But some of us say, oh, I'm approachable. Yet nobody's approaching you. You're not approachable then. That's the truth. You think you're approachable. But your face is ever made up. You're not welcoming. You're dismissive. That doesn't speak, those are not actions of someone who's approachable. So remember, if we say we have an open door policy, we should be open to have those conversations. When someone provides us with feedback, when someone provides us with critique, the aim is not for us to defend every single thing. Your aim is to listen, reflect, and give credit where credit is due. So here's an interesting leadership phenomenon. Sometimes the leader thinks they're managing everybody. Meanwhile, everybody is actually managing the leader. People will learn your moods. Don't ask him anything this morning. Wait until after lunch. She's upset today. Don't mention that issue. Let somebody else tell him. Don't put your name on it, please. Think about what has happened. The organization is spending emotional energy managing the emotional state of the person who's supposed to be leading it. So you're full of different mood. And your employees spend time studying you. They know when to approach you. They know when they can ask, when they can share a suggestion. They know when they can come to your office from when they shouldn't. They know what time of day you're easiest. They can speak to you. No, that shouldn't be happening. They shouldn't be spending their emotional energy managing the emotional state of you when you should be leading them. And this doesn't only happen at work. It happens in families too. Because our children learn, don't tell dad yet, he's in a bad mood. Your spouse learn, I'm not bringing that up tonight. And your friends learn, don't disagree with her about that. And that's not influence. That's emotional accommodation. So people are trying to accommodate your many moods. You know those moody people? Oh boy, I know them. I know one. One is sitting right in front of you. Those emotional people. So the people around, and it's unfair to them. It is unfair to them because at no time they will know exactly what they're getting. You're so unpredictable. They don't know what mood they're getting. And that's an environment of bondage. Exactly, it's an environment of bondage. So true. So I don't want you to answer this publicly. Just listen. Do people have to study your mood before deciding whether they can talk to you? Don't answer publicly, please. Do people rehearse conversations before approaching you? Do you interrupt when someone disagrees? Do you explain before you understand? Do you punish disagreement subtly? Do you leave conversations with you feeling heard or simply defeated? And here's a difficult one. When was the last time somebody told you something about yourself that you didn't want to hear? If you genuinely cannot remember, that's worth examining. That is worth examining. So just think back. When the people around you, when they're trying to have a conversation to you, does it sound rehearsed? They have to say what you want to hear because you're easily tipped off. When someone disagrees with you and is trying to express themselves and let you know why they disagree, do you oftentimes interrupt? You don't give them a chance to finish. When someone shares an idea, do you try to explain everything without even trying to understand what they're trying to say? When someone disagrees with you, are they punished in the nice and neat way for that? Do people leave conversations with you feeling heard, or do they walk away after having a conversation with you just feeling defeated? Just think on those questions. Just think on those questions. And as Nikki says, help us spread the word. Okay, we want to connect with you. Now, I want you to remember this. The higher you climb, the more intentional you have to become about hearing the truth. What did I say? The higher you climb, the more intentional you must become about hearing the truth. And here's why. Because power changes conversations. When your peers, someone might say, Ryan, that wasn't handled well. If it's your friend, they'll tell you that. Give that same person authority over salaries, schedules, promotions, contracts, or performance evaluations. And suddenly, people calculate risk. Not necessarily because you're a bad person, no. But because power creates consequences. And that's why leaders cannot simply say, nobody has complained. That proves very little. People don't always complain to the person who controls the outcome. We're not going to go and complain to HR about everything. You're not going to run and complain to your boss about everything. With authority, the conversation will change. Your friend will relate to you differently. So please don't simply say, nobody has complained. It doesn't prove anything. People don't always complain to the person who controls the outcome. If I know you're responsible for my contract, I'm not going to come and complain to you. I'm going to be very, very selective in what I say to you, especially if I know you're somebody who don't readily accept constructive criticism. And that's a fact. But because sometimes the absence of complaints isn't evidence of satisfaction, it is evidence of resignation. And not physical resignation. Sometimes people resign, leave you mentally. They're just there. And that's why mature leaders actively create ways for uncomfortable information to travel upward. Not just good news, not just agreement, not just praise, but the truth. So if you're a leader, if all you want to hear is good news, everybody agreeing with you, everybody praising your leadership, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. You should create an environment where people, everybody around you, should feel free and safe. Safe to be honest and open with you in a respectful way. So if all you're getting is praise, everybody's just agreeing with you, don't think you're perfect. They've studied you. They know what to say, what not to say. Because they know not every conversation is safe with you. And this connects directly with ideas I explore in my book, The Psychology of Fragility. It's somewhere over there in my bag tonight. So we often think fragility looks like weakness. No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. It doesn't always. Fragility can wear a suit, yes. Fragility can have a doctorate, yes. Fragility can occupy the largest office. Fragility can command hundreds of employees. One form of fragility is an inability to tolerate information that threatens our preferred image of ourselves. Think about it. I'm a good leader. So someone says, but you don't listen. Now my self-image is threatened. What about a parent who says, I'm a supportive parent? And the child says, I don't feel comfortable talking to you. That's seen as a threat. What about your spouse? You say, I'm a good spouse, and your partner says, you're never emotionally present. If you see that as a threat, you're fragile. And what does emotional fragility do? It immediately protects your ego. So you keep saying, that's not true. You're too sensitive. Nobody else says that. After everything I've done for you? No, you misunderstood what I meant. You misunderstood me. You notice what happened? We stopped investigating the feedback and started defending our identity. So when you claim you're a good leader and someone honestly say to you, but you don't listen to us. If you get offended, you're fragile. If you think you're a supportive parent and your child expresses his or herself to say, I don't feel comfortable talking to you. If you feel hurt by your child saying that, you're fragile. If you think you're a good spouse, and your partner says, but you're never emotionally present. If you feel offended by that, you're fragile. Good night, Cece. Because you're protecting your ego. You're protecting your ego. And once our first response to any criticism is to protect our ego, it means we are fragile. We are fragile. So fragility asks, how do I prove they're wrong? You want to prove that everybody around you is wrong. You're always wrong. You're always right. So when somebody criticizes, when somebody tells you the truth, you criticize them. It means you're fragile. Your thinking is fragile. You always jump to defend your identity. You're fragile. Because you don't take on criticism and grow from it. And let's be honest. Sometimes people are going to criticize you and the criticism isn't truth. You will know what to pick out. You will know what to pick out, what to use to build you, and what to leave. But if every time somebody has something to say to you, you jump to your defense, but why? And try to explain yourself. You're fragile. You're fragile. You are afraid of turning the mirror on yourself. You're afraid. So fragility will ask, how do I prove they're wrong? Growth will ask, what if there's something here I need to understand? And that's why when people critique anything we do, when people provide honest feedback, we need to listen and understand where they're coming from and what they're trying to say. And that distinction can transform the way you lead. Stop jumping to defend and start listening more and try to understand different viewpoints. So let's do one scenario tonight. And I want everyone participating. So imagine this. You lead a team of 15 people. You've developed a brand new policy. You spent weeks working on it. And you're proud of what you came up with. You present it at a Monday's meeting. Then you say, any thoughts? The room's silent. Silence. Nobody says anything. You ask again, everybody comfortable with this? Everybody nod. The meeting is finished. You walk away thinking, that was an excellent meeting. The team supports my decision. 20 minutes later, 3 employees are in the parking lot and the conversation is completely different. They think the policy is unrealistic. They believe it will increase workload. They've identified 2 major problems you haven't considered. But one employee says, don't bother telling him anything. You know how they get when somebody challenges their ideas. Now here's the question. Who is responsible for the silence? Is it A, the employees, because they should speak up? Is it B, the leader, or C, both? What do you say? Who's responsible for the silence? Is it the employees because they should learn to speak up? Or is it the leader? Or it could be both. Kaf says the leader. Anybody else? Who is responsible for that silence? You present the policy. You ask if everybody's okay, everybody nod and said yes. But when they leave the meeting, the 3 of them stuck in the parking lot. And they're identifying flaws with the policy. And one of them says, don't bother telling them. You know how they get when somebody challenges their ideas. And you're perfectly right. Kaf, Kamish, and Short, you're perfectly right. The leader. The leader is the problem. And it is clear based on what the employee says. Don't tell them anything. We know when we challenge him, problem. They don't like when you challenge their ideas. And that's a toxic environment to work in. Now let's complicate it. Let's complicate it. Technically, the employees had an opportunity to speak because the leader asked any thoughts. So you could say, I gave them an opportunity. They chose not to speak. And that's fair, maybe. But leadership requires a deeper question. What happened previously that taught them silence was safer than honesty? And that's where leadership maturity begins. Because perhaps 6 months ago, someone disagreed with you and you embarrassed them. Maybe someone challenged an idea and suddenly you treated them differently. Maybe you've never retaliated intentionally, but your body language changes when challenged. Remember, leadership culture isn't built only through policy, it is built through memory. People remember what happened to the last person who spoke up. And Marie said the employees felt the threat. Exactly. And sometimes that is why when we are in some organizations, they don't grow. And sometimes policies fail. And you have some bright minds in that organization. Sometimes you have some bright minds in that organization. And everything is just not gelling. It's not coming together. Because the leader isn't allowing those bright minds to use their expertise. So when they come up with an idea, the minds, the people in the organization, they remain silent. So it become a one-man band. And you work hard and you're trying to deliver a policy that you know will fail. But you refuse to speak on it because you know it's not safe. You know it's not safe to do so. So here when you know it's going downhill, because the leader says, let's paint the wall blue, and you know blue will look horrible on it, you go ahead and you come team, let us paint it blue. And everybody is stressed out, painting it blue, and you know the blue paint won't work. And all it needed was one person to speak up to say, boss, let's try white, or let's try orange, let's try a different color. But nobody feels safe enough to do so because they remember what happened the last time when somebody tried to challenge a leader. They know what the repercussion will be. They know that you like things your way. So they just go along and paint the wall blue. And hope that you will come to the realization before it is too late that the blue wall looks horrible. And that is the same in some organizations. You'll walk into some organizations and you will look and say, some bright minds is employed there, but the organization isn't growing. Start looking from the leader, come down. Look at what opportunities the leader present for the team to contribute. When you see any team and you not see any form of innovation, start from leadership. Start to look at leadership, how leadership operates. Listen how the leaders speak. If it's I, there's a problem. If the leader is the only person who can represent the organization, if the leader is the only person who can speak about the different initiatives in the institution, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. So remember as leaders, how you respond to people creates a culture. And culture is built through memory. So people will remember what happened last year, last month, last week to the person who spoke up, to the person who challenged your thinking. And the way you respond will tell your team, is it safe to share my views? It is safe to speak up. Is it safe to criticize initiatives? Or must I just shut up and get on with it? Even when we know it's going nowhere. So what should the leader do? So hear this. Imagine you discover that parking lot conversation. Do you call everyone into a meeting and say, why didn't you tell me? Careful, because that can make things worse. Perhaps the better response would be, Cap said leaders should make subordinates in exactly. So I've realized a better way of approaching it. So if you come across and you realize that somebody pinch you and tell you that, that 3 employees, they were out in the parking lot discussing your recently introduced policy. Instead of calling them up and reprimanding them, you could simply say, I've realized that there may be concerns people didn't feel comfortable raising. So before we discuss the policy again, I need to examine whether my reactions have made disagreement difficult. If they have, that's something I need to work on. So if you realize that people discuss, when you introduce an initiative, people huddle in their corners and they discuss the initiatives. And they're not discussing it with you. They huddle together and they point out the flaws among themselves. And they're not discussing it with you. You may need to start this introspection. And Kamisha says, I had an incident with my former leader when I had an objection in regards to my appraisal. I was belittled and I never object again. I just and that is wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. So when you realize that people don't speak up to you, when you realize that people don't feel it is safe to challenge your thinking, to challenge your ideas, you need to turn the mirror on yourself. You are the problem. And when you start to reflect on your own leadership and how you respond when being criticized, that's leadership. That's no collapse, no self-hatred, no performance. That's just you holding yourself accountable. And Marie says some leaders lack emotional awareness. They don't recognize when employees are just uncomfortable, and that's true. Some of them don't realize it. And they think silence means everything is going well. Sometimes silence is the biggest discomfort. And when people say yes, yes sir, yes ma'am, yes sir, yes, it's a problem. It's a problem. You can drain the living energy out of people. You can drain every passion out of people. And that is because of the environment you create. And this is where tonight connects with my next book, The Teaching and Learning Leader. So although that work is grounded in education per se, the principle extends to every organization. Because guess what? A leader must create conditions where learning can happen. And learning requires what? Feedback. A school cannot improve if teachers cannot challenge the practice. A company cannot innovate if employees cannot question strategy. A business will never improve service if frontline employees are afraid to report problems. A family cannot grow if children cannot respectfully tell parents how they feel. What about relationship? A relationship cannot mature if one person controls every difficult conversation. So let's be fair, leadership isn't simple. It isn't simply just saying, can I give feedback? No. A much more difficult feedback around leadership is can I receive feedback? When people criticize me, can I take it and use it to grow? That's a different conversation. So leaders love talking about accountability. Yes, man. They love talking about holding people accountable. But accountability that only travels downward isn't accountability. That's authority. And that's what most leaders don't know. Accountability that only travels downward is not accountability. That's authority. Healthy leadership allows truth to travel both directions. Truth must come up, truth must go down. Is that clear? So you can't want to hold people accountable, but nobody should hold you accountable. That's authority. You can't want to tell people the truth, but nobody can tell you the truth. You can't want to criticize someone's work, but nobody can criticize yours. That's authority. It's not accountability. It's different. It's different. So when everybody talking about, oh, we're going to hold people accountable. Can they hold you? Are you holding yourself accountable? Can people challenge you? And that's the difference. That's the difference. Because healthy leadership allows truth to travel both directions, not just down, but up as well. So let us do a leadership check. Let us do a leadership check. And we're not diagnosing anyone tonight. No, we're not diagnosing anyone. We're just reflecting. This leadership check is for us to reflect. So 1, everyone agrees with you all the time. If everyone agrees with you all the time, that's not necessarily a compliment. That's the first leadership check. If everyone agrees with you all the time, that's not necessarily a compliment. 2, you hear bad news very late. People may be filtering information before it reaches you. If you're hearing when things go wrong late, check your leadership. 3, people apologize excessively before disagreeing with you. I'm sorry, but please don't take this the wrong way. I hope you don't get upset. Pay attention to that language. If people have to apologize excessively before trying to disagree with you, there's a problem. There's a problem. Number 4, your feedback conversations are mostly one way. So you talk and they listen. And they're not given an opportunity. They're not given an opportunity to provide their feedback. And that is similar to what sir, let me find her name, Kamisha said a while ago. Feedback needs to be a conversation. Can't be one way. Not you talking and them listening. It must be both way. And the last leadership check. People become noticeably different when you enter the room. Conversation changes. Bodies stiffen. People become unusually formal. Don't automatically assume that's respect. Ask yourself, what else could it be? If when you walk in the room, if the conversation change, laughter stop, everybody stiffen, everybody starts speaking, elitist, something is wrong. Something is wrong. That's not necessarily respect. That's not necessarily respect. That's not necessarily respect. Exactly, Kaf, the bully has entered. Exactly, the bully has entered. So which is leader? Which is harder? Giving honest feedback or receiving honest feedback? Which is harder? Which do you think is harder? Giving honest feedback or receiving it? I'm going to go out front and say, receiving feedback can be difficult. Can be difficult if you're not aware of yourself. If you're not emotionally healthy. Receiving feedback can be difficult. Giving feedback can also be difficult too. If you're not emotional, if you don't understand people's emotion and know how to provide feedback so you don't demoralize and batter people when you provide feedback. People should walk away from every feedback conversation with you feeling empowered. If people walk away from feedback conversation with you as a leader feeling battered, feeling less than, you've not done your job well. No matter how difficult the conversation is, no matter how difficult the feedback is, your employee, everybody should walk away from that conversation with an understanding of what went wrong, what needs to work on, and there should be some roadmap as to how that will be addressed, how this person will be supported. So the person should walk away from that conversation feeling empowered to say, I know I messed up, or that didn't go so well, but I know what to do next time. I know where to get support next time. I know who to go to for support. That's somebody walking away from a difficult conversation feeling empowered to go again. They should never walk away feeling defeated. And Kaf says, reason as a leader, you must know your staff. But if you shut them down, you will never get to know them. If they can't speak honestly to you, you will never get to know them. So here's the hopeful part. Here's the hopeful part tonight. Discovering that you're contributing to a problem doesn't make you a terrible leader, you know. Refusing to examine it is where the danger begins. Because there's no perfect leader. But when you refuse to examine that you are the problem, when you refuse to turn the mirror on yourself, when you refuse to hold yourself accountable, that's where the problem comes in. So what do we do? First, ask better questions. Don't ask, am I a good leader? Most people will say yes. Ask your colleagues, ask your employees, what's one thing I do that makes your work harder? Different question. Ask, what do you think I don't see? What would you change if you were sitting in my position? When do you find me hardest to communicate with? Those are the questions you ask if you want true feedback. Not if you're a good leader or a bad leader. No. They're going to say yes. You sign the paycheck. You're signing their paycheck. They're going to say yes. They want to stay in your good grace. They're going to say yes. Nobody's going to say you're a bad leader when you're their boss. Nobody will say that. But if you strategically ask the questions, the right questions in the right way, you will get feedback on your leadership. What's one thing I do that makes your work harder? They'll tell you. And then you can go and work on that. What do you think I don't see? What are my blind spots? They'll tell you. What would you change if you're sitting in this position? They'll tell you. When do you find me hardest to communicate with? They will tell you. And when you ask those questions, remember, don't defend yourself immediately. Someone gives feedback. You encourage them. Tell me more. And those are 3 powerful words. Not yes, but, no. Tell me more. Ask them to tell. That's how you will learn. So if somebody respectfully challenges you, don't punish them. Thank them. Consider it. You don't have to agree. But remember, psychological safety doesn't mean every suggestion gets accepted. No. It means disagreement doesn't threaten belonging. So it doesn't mean that when people give you a suggestion, you're going to accept everything. No. But you want everyone around you to feel psychologically safe, to share. And then as a leader, you will pick out sense from nonsense. You will know what can work from what can't, because you're sitting from up there looking across the entire organization. They may not be seeing what you're seeing. But when they give you their ideas, when they share their views, you will know from where you're sitting what can work, what can't work. You will know. But don't shut them down. Because when they feel psychologically safe to share, it means they know they belong. If they don't feel safe, you're threatening their belonging. And when you threaten their belonging, you're threatening their livelihood. They're going to shut down. They're going to be silent. Because people want the job. People want the job. So I want to end tonight differently. So imagine an empty chair across from you. Just imagine there's an empty chair across from you. Sitting there is someone who knows you well. Maybe an employee, your spouse, your child. Could be a business partner or a close friend. They've been given complete protection. You can't harm them. You can't fire them. You can't victimize them. So they have complete protection, whoever that person is sitting in that chair. Nothing they say can affect their job. Nothing they say can affect their relationship with you or their opportunities. Nothing they say. And they're allowed to answer one question. What is something about me that you have been afraid to tell me? What do you think that person would say? Don't type it. Just sit with it. Maybe you don't listen as well as you think. You make everything about work. You're difficult when you are stressed. You say you want honesty, but you punish disagreement. You never apologize. You always need to be in control. You're not as approachable as you think. Or perhaps they say something completely different. But here's the point. Every leader has a version of themselves they cannot see alone. Every one of us have a version of ourselves we cannot see alone. And that's why we need feedback. That's why we need reflection. And last week I spoke about the mirrors of a car. Your employees, the people around you, your friends, your families, they're like your mirror. If you remove your mirror, if you cover them up, you become an unsafe driver. But if you allow the mirror to guide you, you'll be less likely to meet in an accident. It's the same thing with leadership. Same thing. Use the people around you to give you feedback, to let you know when you're going wrong, to be honest with you. So as leaders, we need feedback. We need reflection. And we need people around us who is courageous enough to tell us the truth. And that's why we must become emotionally healthy enough to hear it. We should be able to handle feedback when people tell us the truth without victimizing them. So tonight's conversation brings together two important themes from my work. So in the Teaching and Learning Leader, I explore leadership as a process of learning, reflection, development, and creating conditions where others can grow. That's what I talk about in the Teaching and Learning Leader. We want to create an environment, you see, where people can learn, where they can reflect on their practice, where developmental opportunities are there, and you create the conditions where everyone can grow. Now, in the psychology of fragility, I examine what happens when individuals and systems become defensive, rigid, and unable to adapt when their assumptions or identities are challenged. Put those ideas together, and we arrive here. A leader who cannot receive truth eventually becomes surrounded by people who stop telling it. What did I say? A leader who cannot receive truth eventually becomes surrounded by people who stop telling it. And that's dangerous. Not only CEOs, not only principals, for parents, for partners, entrepreneurs, managers, coaches, teachers, community leaders, it's for all of us. It's for all of us. It's for all of us. If we refuse to receive the truth, we eventually become surrounded by people who stop telling us truth. They just tell us what we want to hear. They will just be massaging our ego. They will just be massaging our ego. They will tell us what we want to hear because they want to remain in our good graces. So you should be willing to hear the truth. But before we leave tonight, I want you to complete one final sentence in the comments. A leader makes it safe to tell the truth when they what? Let me hear from you. A leader makes it safe to tell the truth when they listen. When they listen and don't defend. A leader makes it safe to tell the truth when they listen and they don't defend everything. Let me hear from you. A leader makes it safe to tell the truth when they what? Let me hear from 2 or 3 people on the live tonight. Let me hear from you. A leader makes it safe to tell the truth. And I went first and say, when they listen and don't defend. They listen. Let me hear from someone else. How do you know? What actions of a leader make it safe for you to tell them the truth? Let me hear from 2 or 3 people on the live tonight. Don't be shy, man. Let's talk. What does a leader do to make it safe for you to tell them the truth? Marie says communicate respectfully, yes. So when you talk to them, when you provide feedback, they're going to come, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how you rip their ideas apart, they're going to communicate and have a dialogue with you respectfully, to nobody belittling anybody. Jay Salman says, when they speak, respect, come back to respect. When they speak respectfully. CC says, when they follow through with suggestions. Exactly. Exactly, when they follow through, so they remain consistent, so they don't just take your idea and leave it. Star Teacher says, when they are open to constructive criticism. Exactly. So when you criticize them, they don't use it and take revenge on you and make your life difficult in the workplace and sideline you and push you one side. They don't do that. me see any more comment there. Kaf says, when they are when they are emotional intelligent, very good. Jason, when they make the environment safe. So a leader who make it safe to tell the truth. Let me go over them again. Communicate respectfully. Speak respectfully. Follow through on suggestions. They're open to constructive criticism. They're emotionally intelligent. And when they create an environment where it is safe to speak, to provide constructive criticism. And that's an environment where people will feel safe. Where people will feel safe to tell the leader the truth. And remember, as leaders, stop use the word accountability if you don't know what it truly means. Because if your version of accountability is you holding people to task, that's not accountability, that's authority. Accountability goes both ways. When your staff, your employees, people around you can challenge you and hold you accountable, and in turn you hold them accountable, that is accountable. When accountability is one way, it's not accountability, it is authority. There is a difference. And too often we hear people, you must hold your staff accountable. The question is your staff able to hold you accountable? Is your staff able to hold you accountable? Is your staff able to hold you accountable? Sometimes our bosses, remember to hold your staff accountable. But as a leader, I can't hold you accountable. As my boss, I can't hold you accountable. I can't hold you accountable. I can't hold you accountable. You don't say true to your word. Nikki B said, Dada D, exactly. So when we must stop use the word accountability if it is one way. Once it is one way, that is authority. Accountability is two-way. Two-way. The staff should be able to hold you accountable. When you're not doing what is right, they should be able to speak up. They should be able to tell you the truth in a respectful way. And it goes the same way. You should be able to tell them the truth and hold them accountable. That's accountability. When accountability is one way, that is authority. Never forget that. Never forget that. So let's finish tonight by learning from each other. And tomorrow, don't go into work looking for who's wrong. No. Don't go home diagnosing everybody else. No. Start somewhere harder. Start with yourself. Turn the mirror on yourself, please. And ask someone you trust. What's something about the way I lead, communicate, or respond that you think I need to see? That's a question we need to ask, you know. That's a question we need to ask. What's something about the way I lead, communicate, or respond that you think I need to see? Dr. P says, can't take my eyes off that dapper look. You are really leading by example in all ways. Thank you, Dr. B. Thank you. So remember, let us turn the mirror on ourselves and ask someone the question. What's something about the way I lead, or the way I communicate, or the way I respond to people that you think I need to see and I need to work on? And when they answer, remember, don't interrupt them. You're not defending your identity. No, you're not doing that. You're not fragile. Fragile people jump to defend everything. No. You ask for feedback, sit down and take the feedback. Don't explain anything. Don't defend. Your only job in that moment is to listen. Because perhaps the most important leadership conversation you'll ever have is the one somebody has been afraid to have with you. So I'm going to leave you with this. The day people stop correcting you is not the day you become a great leader. It may be the day they decided you were no longer safe enough to tell the truth. The day people stop correcting you is not the day you became a great leader. No. It may be the day they decided you were no longer safe enough to tell the truth. I want to leave you with that. When people stop correcting you, when you tell them that paint this wall blue, and the whole world see that the wall will look better white, but everybody's silent and then paint the wall blue and they And when you're gone, they discuss behind your back, but they're painting blue, and nobody feel brave enough to tell you that the blue don't look good. Something is wrong. They realize that it is no longer safe enough to tell you the truth because you can't handle the truth. And if you can't handle the truth as a leader, you are fragile and you need a mirror. Good night, everyone. This is Leadership Unscripted. Real conversations, real leadership, real impact. It was nice having you here. Thank you to everyone, 16 of you, for sticking around and staying here with me. See you tomorrow night, 8:30, for another rich and engaging conversation. Stay blessed. See you tomorrow, Dr. P. See you tomorrow, everyone. Thank you so very much. I'm not going to stay around tonight, you know. I'm on vacation. I'm in foreign. So now it's time for me to go foreign. Good night. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Cece. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Dr. P. Yes, I'm in foreign. Stay out of the sun, sir. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to stay out of the sun. But yes, there's no sun now. There's no sun now, so you know I'm going to enjoy foreign. Nikki says enjoy foreign. Exactly. Going to enjoy foreign. Remember to enjoy teachers. If you're a teacher on the live. If you're in the Cayman Islands, we have 4 days to go. No, 3. Thursday, Friday, 2 days to go. 2 days to go. If you're in Jamaica, you have maybe like 2 or 3 weeks to go. In short, you enjoy the last few days or few weeks of your vacation. Perfect is perfect. Imperfect King said blessings, another thoughtful, provoking session. So remember, enjoy your vacation. Do not eat too much sardines. Enjoy it. We're not eating. I'm not gonna eat any sardine on this vacation. Carry back something nice for me, sir. Thank you. All right, Nikki B. No problem. Nice working with you. So true, Dr. P. So see you guys tomorrow at 8:30. We're on here from 8 o'clock, but see you at 8:30 tomorrow evening for another conversation. Stay blessed. Remember that the live will be uploaded to this platform shortly and will also be placed on my YouTube channel as well. So if you missed tonight's conversation or you want to share it with somebody, it will be posted in about the next hour on this platform. It will also be posted on my YouTube channel. So you can share it with people. Please feel free to share it. Whether you share the YouTube link or you share the TikTok link, whichever one. But it will be uploaded in about the next hour. Thank you so very much for joining. All right, Mary, thank you very much.